We have A plus B making C plus D. All right, it says you start out with 0.6 moles. Uh-oh, can't use moles. It's got to be in molarity, so we're going to divide by the liters. 0.6 divided by 2 liters is a 0.3 molar. And B, it says it's 0.2 moles divided by 2 liters is a 0.1 molarity. And it doesn't mention these guys, so these are going to start out as 0. Sometimes it will mention them. So I know that I've got to add here. I know I've got to subtract here because these are zeros. That's how you know that. Those are zeros. I don't know how much, but since I have the K, I know I'm going to use X in my rice table. So you get 0.3 minus X, 0.1 minus X, 0 plus X is X, 0 plus X is X. On top, you will get an X to the first times X to the first. So you're going to end up with X squared on top. You're going to end up with 0.3 minus X on bottom and a 0.1 minus X on bottom to the first. And we're going to set that equal to 49. Okay, so the way you do this, you would have to now use, you can't take the square root of both sides because they're not perfect squares. So the real way you do this particular problem, and there are some that are going to be like this, we can't get rid of the minus x's because that's 49. That's definitely not smaller than 1 times 10 to the negative fifth, is to use the quadratic equation. So I'm going to teach you how to use the solver in your calculator. But before we use the solver, we're going to have to do something, unless you guys have the nicer, newer calculators, the ones that you plug in. I'd have to look at it. The 84 plus silver. I'll have to show you, but I'm going to be using an 84 plus, but even the 83s will work. To show you how to work this. But before we do this, I need to manipulate this formula so that one side is 0 before I can use the solver. So basically I need to take this 49 and I need to send it over to the other side. So this side has a 0. So I'm going to subtract 49 from both sides. So that is going to leave a 0 on this side. Okay, so write that down because I'm going to go to my calculator and this is how we're going to be putting it in. In fact, you see how there's 2 things on bottom? I'm going to need a double set of parentheses around this bottom here. So that's how I'm going to be putting it in the calculator to get my answer. Okay, you can see my answers are up at the top that we're going to be getting. So for each of the things. So this is how it's going to be put in the calculator. So go ahead and write it down because I won't be able to come back to the screen once I flip over to the calculator.
Okay, I'm going to teach you how to use the solver on your calculator. And I'm not quite sure why you have to do this first step, but I did have a student a while back that taught me this, that sometimes we would get wrong answers when we didn't do this step. And I don't know if they Googled it and figured out that this would always fix it. So I'm going to suggest you always do this, and basically it clears the calculator. It's almost like a reset on the calculator. So you're going to start out with your calculator, turn it on, and then you're going to hit the 0 button. And then you're going to hit, right above the on is a stow button, hit stow, and then you're going to hit the X, which is right below the word mo. So 0, stow, X, and hit enter. And so it should be putting a 0 on your calculator. Basically that clears your calculator out. You need to do that every single time you get ready to use the solver. I don't know why, it just works, okay? So now we're going to get to the solver in the calculator. So you want to hit your math button, which is right underneath your alpha. And you could scroll down, or if you just hit the up arrow key, you should then see, mine's under B and it says the word solver. And so just hit enter, find solver and hit enter. And mine looks like this, yours probably doesn't. If yours does, I'm going to hit the up arrow here and I'm going to hit clear. That's the way yours should look. And I don't know if you can really see it, but it should say 0 equals. So See if I can get that to zoom in just a bit for you. Okay, and so 0 equals, and it's blinking. So remember, we set that, our equation, to 0. So let's put in that equation. We had moved that 49 to the other side. So we're going to put it in the top, and so the top was x squared. We didn't need a parentheses, so you don't need, so you can just do x, and then your square button. And then divide by, now this is where it's very important. You need a double set of parentheses. Basically, you need a large set of parentheses that's going to be around everything. So I'm going to do a double set of parentheses, and I'm going to do the 0.3 minus x, and then I'm going to close that first parenthesis, and then I'm going to open up another parenthesis, and then 0.1 minus x, and I'm going to close that parenthesis, and then I'm going to close the overall parenthesis. Okay, so that's just what we wrote on the screen just a second ago. The last step, that 49, remember, and we got to go minus 49. All right, so the equation is in there, and so now that the equation is in there, I'm going to hit enter. So if I hit enter, it should look like this, and then it should be blinking on 0 equals, or x equals 0. If it doesn't, you didn't do the first step. Okay, so that is not telling the calculator to solve. It is not solved. Basically, when you hit enter, it says, hey calculator, here's an equation. So now we need to have it solve, and the way you solve it is you're going to hit the alpha key, and you're going to hit enter, because if you'll notice in the enter, right in the background, mine is green, it says the word solve. So I had to hit the green button, which is alpha. So you're going to hit alpha and then enter, alpha and then enter, alpha then enter. And it may take it a second to solve, and mine just solved it, and so it says x equals 0.099. And I'm going to quit this, so I didn't do anything, it just solved it, 0.099. I'm going to hit second and then mode, that second quit, and I'm just going to hit the X button. Can you see? Now I can see the X. Now, a while ago I told X to be 0, but now X is 0.099. So I've just solved it. So that is what your C and your D is. Now to figure out A, I can simply go 0.3 minus X. I can actually hit X, and it'll give me the value, 0.200. It's 0.201 if we did 3 sig digs. I think we only have 2 sig digs in this problem. And I could go 0.1 for B minus X. And this is coming out in scientific notation, but if I rounded this and didn't do scientific notation, I would get 0.0010 for 2 sig digs. So that gives me my values. I could actually check my answer. I could go x squared, because see, it's storing x, divided by, now I need a double set of parentheses, 0.3 minus x, and then 0.1 minus x, close that parentheses, and I could hit enter, and it should equal 49. That way I know that the solver did correct. So there's solver. So hopefully that makes sense. We'll do again in just a moment.